pass through 2 vaults and you can reach the world's quietest place, an anechoic chamber in Minneapolis Oilfield Laboratory. Inside, no sound is reflected off the walls. The room consists of a mesh floor, walls lined with meter-long soundproofing wedges, and a meshed ceiling. As its sound level is minus 9.4 decibels, and humans can only detect sounds above 0 decibels, the chamber is virtually soundless. In the chamber you can hear your stomach, heart, or even your ear, as the ear makes its own noise when it does not detect any sound. Other senses also become more sensitive in the room.
I'm going to scream as loud as I can, and I'm going to keep screaming as loud as I can while I spin around. And I'll keep going until my breath runs out.
Great.
You ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was outstanding. Thank you.
Thank you.
The quietest place on Earth is apparently an anechoic chamber in Minneapolis. Now I'm here at BYU at their anechoic chamber. Anechoic is Latin, it basically means no echo. And the way they achieve no echo is through all of these foam wedges which are put on the walls and even the floor. You can see that I'm actually on a spring floor, and down below me there are all of these wedges. Now you may want to use headphones while you're listening to this video because that's going to be quite important.
Low frequency sound will come in and by the shape of it bounce and just keep bouncing pretty much forever until it just gets lost in the wall. And then high frequencies are more so going to get absorbed into the foam itself.
You can hear how the room deadens echoes by clapping constantly while closing the doors.
Totally changes the quality of the sound.
Definitely.
There are reports that it's impossible to stay in one of these rooms and remain sane for a significant period of time. The record is apparently 45 minutes.
I felt a little claustrophobic. It felt like there's a lot of pressure on my head.
But why would that be? I mean, the air is no different in here.
What I figured is just because when you listen in a normal room, there's a lot of reverb. To your ear, that means there's a lot of space, but there's none of that in here, so it feels claustrophobic.
It feels like you're in a tiny room, like you could be in a coffin.
Maybe, yeah.
I think it's really an anxiety response. So you're used to having these sounds around you, and then you don't anymore, and so you start to panic because you don't have something you're used to. And I think that anxiety can increase and cause some stress, and maybe that's why people go crazy or hallucinate with sound. It's just because they're trying to make up for what they're used to that isn't there.
When I bring people in, I warn them, hey, if you get a little dizzy, please let me know so I can get you out of the room before you make a mess in our expensive facilities.
First you'll hear any rustle of your clothing. So you move an inch and you'll hear it. Then you'll hear any fluids that are in your mouth or your throat. You'll hear them all moving around every time you move your mouth. And the longer you stay in there, the more you hear. So you start to hear the blood flow through your brain.
Have you heard it?
Mm-hmm.
What
yeah, it sounds kind of like a ringing or a pulsing.
Can you kind of make the sound for us so that we know what to listen out for?
Of the blood flow?
Yeah,
it just sounds like a pulsing, like... Some people say they can hear their heartbeat coming from their chest as well.
Have you heard that?
No. Mm-mm.
A violinist placed in one of these rooms was apparently banging on the door within a matter of seconds trying to get out. Now other people say it's impossible to stand up because you become so disoriented, dizzy, nauseous, and some people even hear oral hallucinations. But to me it doesn't sound right. You know, I believe that I should be able to sit in a room with no sound, with the lights off for as long as I like. And so I'm going to put myself to the test by staying in this room for as long as I can.
Have fun in silence.
Thank you. Now it is just me in the anechoic chamber. And this is probably the quietest place I have ever been. And in a second, I'll tell the guys, shut the lights off. Okay, I think, oh, I'm ready. And the lights are off. I'm gonna turn off the camera so I don't have this light, and then there's only the audio recorder that I'll keep with me.
I'm not sure how long I've been in here, but I still feel quite comfortable. It's nice and quiet. I mean, that's an understatement. But it's relaxing. If I hear anything, I feel like I hear a low-pitched hum. If I had to guess about how long I'd been in here, I'd say about 8 minutes. I feel like I'm more aware of my heart. I can feel each pulse, and I can almost feel it radiating up my chest towards my head, like a wave. And in my ears there's the hiss. I think that's just from hearing loss. This just reminds me of that Mission Impossible movie where Tom Cruise sneaks into that building and he has to keep his decibel level low. That was the burp. I don't know if you could hear that. I can say the really small sounds seem amplified. It's like your brain has recalibrated, so the quiet things seem much louder. I feel like I can feel more things, like with every beat of my heart it feels like my body shakes a little bit. Like a device that has a little motor inside it, how it gets shook around like a phone. Okay, Cameron, looks to me like we're good for time. If it looks the same to you, like we're around 46 minutes or over, I'm happy to hop out. So, yeah, when you're ready, you could flick the lights back on if you like. Are you there? Hello? I think I've been here for nearly an hour, according to my time checks, and I didn't fall asleep. I just, I've had a good time. It's a nice quiet space. I kind of feel like this would be a good material to pad your bedroom in. Not a problem. Anechoic chamber, 45 minutes, an hour. Easy. I could stay in here for 5 hours. I think I could get a lot of work done in here. So now I just have to get out. And I'm going to see if I can exit this room without them turning the lights on. Even the door is nice and quiet. Here we are, back to the outside world. Whew. Hello. How you doing?
Alive?
I am.
I don't really understand how anyone could go crazy in there. I mean, quiet is kind of nice. But then again, there are people who find all sorts of situations really uncomfortable, like just being in a pitch black room or being in a small confined space. So maybe those types of people would find this kind of unnerving.
I definitely noticed that there were a lot of noises. Like, it wasn't just pure silence. Like, I actually had to work hard to make things feel silent. Otherwise, there was the sound of like just me rubbing my beard, or just like the rustle of your clothes, or every time you swallow, or when you breathe. Perhaps the weirdest thing I noticed was like my sense of my heart. I just felt like it was pumping really hard, and I could feel almost like the blood pushing up through me. It wasn't like I was hearing it, it was just like I was feeling it. And I was feeling as though, in a way, my heart was shaking my body. That was something weird. But besides that, nothing crazy. No weird hallucinations or anything like that. So I think the myth that you can't stay in here for longer than 45 minutes is busted. Even though this is not Mythbusters, I still think it's not true.
Now, if you really hate silence, you should always carry an audiobook around with you. And I can recommend a good one, The Fault in Our Stars by my friend John Green. It is an excellent book, and it's been basically at the top of the bestsellers ever since it was released. And soon there's a movie coming out, and so you probably want to get through the book before you go and see the movie. Now, you can download this book for free by going to audible.com/Veritasium, or you can pick any other book of your choosing for a 1-month free trial. Audible is an amazing site with over 150,000 titles in all areas of literature, including fiction, non-fiction, and periodicals. So you should check them out. The link is in the doobly-doo, as John would say. So I'd like to thank Audible for supporting me, and I would like to thank you for watching.
Hey guys, this is Josh, and we're here at Orfield Labs today. We're going to test out the Define R5 and find out how truly quiet it is. So this is the world's quietest sound room according to Guinness. I think it's estimated around like -9 dB. And if you look around, you see all the acoustical baffles. If you look down, the floor is actually like a mesh grate, and it's actually somewhat springy, so it doubles as a trampoline.
The anechoic chamber is constructed out of a double shell system, so there's one steel shell with a door on that room. That room is suspended on springs. Then there's an airspace all the way around and another shell of composite metal panels. So we still have the heating system on for the anechoic chamber, and with the quiet microphone, we can measure that, which is very quiet. In there, you can't hear it, is between 5 and 10 decibels A-weighted. That's extremely quiet. It's most quiet than most environments you'll ever be in. But now I'm going to turn off that system, and we should be able to measure below 0.
What's the reading? -1.3
It's spiked when you
was
said
as
that.
low as it got.
It's like -1. The reason why, even though that's super isolated through there, it's so sensitive and quiet in there that we can pick up us talking even.
Yeah.
It's just so quiet. So now we might be able to see.
Wow.
It sounds like you're tapping the mic itself.
Right, that's how much gain we have. Watch.
And that's still the interior door closed.
Yeah, that's still that whole thing closed
Right,
up.
right. But if you turn this up when the door's open, it's gain city. If I talk in here, you should easily be able to hear me nice and clearly, right? Right. But then if you leave it up, the volume up and open the door, it'll be...
Oh.
Because there's so much gain.
Yeah.
And it's quiet gain. We're using ISO 3744, a hemispherical mic array, which uses 10 microphone positions. Each position is at 1 meter from the device, but over the surface of a hemisphere. I keep moving it after I adjust it.
So how many different measurements are we going to end up taking per?
On each one, 10.
10. So you have to reset this 5 times?
5 times.
I love precious. So it just goes to show you, obviously, when we construct the Define R5, it's basically a platform, right? The whole reason we have the Moduvent panels is some people want to have optimum silence, some people want to have optimum airflow, and that's where we give you the choice. Some guy may not be as concerned if it's 15 dB versus 10 or 8 or whatever. For the people who are more focused on silence, you can leave them all on. In Puget, when they want to go all in, they do things where they come up with custom fan brackets that they develop that basically relocate fans inside the case for more optimal airflow, where this one is designed somewhat as an intake, but more than anything, it's going to direct air directly onto the graphics card. So the graphics card is cooler, so the graphics card fans don't have to spin as hard.
So we were trying to be able to actually film inside the chamber and like have like a time lapse or something of the test. And both cameras we have here are actually too loud. Like normally if the case was like crazy loud or something, it would make a difference because it's so much louder. But because the case is so quiet, the tiny little noises on the cameras
would be enough to throw it off.
It's crazy.
Anything below about 10 decibels A-weighted, you're gonna have a really hard time hearing it all, unless you're very close to it. And there's 2 microphones in there and each one has a different value, so this is microphone number 1, 10.6, microphone number 2, 10.5.
All right, so out goes the full case and in goes the test bench. So this is the exact same thing, just obviously without the case.
Exact same hardware configuration, exact same fan, number of fans and type of fan. So it's basically apples to apples as close as we can get, you know, gear on an open bench versus gear inside the case. Okay, so as we're finishing up the other testing, we're gonna move into what we call kind of like the reviewer's benchmark. Generally what most reviewers will tend to do is run a system based on thermal load so that the fans spin up, so on and so forth, and create a noise level. So to replicate that, we're gonna run Prime 95, taxing all cores on the CPU at 100%, as well as run Unigine Heaven benchmark on top of that to simulate, I guess, you know, a standard stress test for a system, generally larger than what normal usage would be, but kind of a worst case scenario. So this is probably the least scientific of our tests. The rest of them have all been the ISO, where it's very regimented what we do. This we're just trying to replicate what a lot of reviewers do. So basically this thing's undergoing stress testing right now. As you can see, the benchmark's still running, and I think we're hitting like right around, what was it, 20-ish, 22 or so out there, which compared to a lot of our other test results seems incredibly high. You know, it's orders of magnitude higher. But then if you actually listen to the system, you'll hear how loud it is right now under full load.
All right, so it has been 2 weeks and we finally have the results. So it was actually a lot of work. We thought that like, we were there like, oh, we'll just spit out the thing, you get like 10 minutes. It was a big deal.
Yeah, it was 60 tests, and then it was 2 weeks of crunching the numbers into what he considers a condensed form, which still...
How many pages are in the spreadsheet?
There's, I think, like 12 tabs, and there's like 47 columns on each tab. It's like the SATs. I
didn't know what I was signing up for, just throwing this out there.
Yeah, exactly. Don't bother invoicing. So basically, what we're gonna do is we're gonna post all of the different results as part of the video. We'll also post a link to the official reports once we have those completed. Cause
we're kind of going for all the nerdy stuff.
Yeah, exactly. We're kind of going for like a full transparency thing here. It's like, obviously, you know, we couldn't have done anything to nerf this test in our favor and still maintain the ISO compliance. So we're gonna put all the details up there. I mean, you'll probably be able to see the 60 different tests if that's your thing.
Is that it?
I think we're done.
All right.
I think we're good.
Good, because that was really like shaky at the end.
Death, large animals, broken internet. These are all very scary to the average person. But could another one of our fears be silence? Hey everyone, Lacey Green here for D News. Sometimes I'm sitting in my apartment trying to write, and before too long I'll find myself putting on a YouTube video or the TV in the background. And it's not as if I'm actually listening to the TV, I'm just hearing it. It's not loud, it's just softly droning on in the background. I guess to me there's something mildly uncomfortable about sitting too long in total quiet. A 6-year study done on 580 undergrads found that, hey, I'm not crazy. This is a widespread phenomena, and although they haven't confirmed it yet, scientists suspect that this discomfort in silence might be something that's learned. Perhaps it's a product of the media bombardment that we're faced with in day-to-day life. Perhaps it's the airplanes and helicopters, buses and cars, air conditioners, heating systems, computers, refrigerators, distant conversations. At any given moment, there are 30 to 60 decibels of sound humming away in the background of life. Just stop and listen. You'll hear it, even if you didn't realize it was there. We're so used to this unquiet, perhaps we're even starting to prefer it. But according to Science and Things, this preference might not be so good. The International Journal of Hygiene and Environmental Health reports that this ongoing low-level background noise could have negative effects on long-term cognitive learning and unconscious physiological processes. The ability to memorize and recall information is disrupted by background noise. A study at the US Army Engineer Research Center found that the ideal sound level for test taking is 28 decibels, about the same as a whisper. The theory goes, Background noise, even when it's low level, subconsciously averts energy and brain power to process all that junk. But total silence ain't that great either. In Minneapolis, you'll find the world's quietest room, an anechoic chamber in which the noise levels are -9 decibels. I don't even know how that's possible, but apparently it is, and it drives people insane. Like, literally crazy. They start hallucinating and craving human flesh. Okay, maybe not the human flesh part, but definitely hallucinations. You're sitting there alone with just your thoughts and the sound of your heartbeat, and your brain just can't take it, so it starts making shit up. The longest someone has lasted in this profound silence is 45 minutes. The brain, man, it's so hard to satisfy. Like, do you want noise or not? Perhaps the solution to our sound woes is somewhere in between. In the comments below, I want to know, do you guys put on background noise when you're doing stuff, or do you prefer the quiet? Thanks for watching D News, guys. We'll be back again tomorrow.